Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at something fundamental: hunger. You know, that stomach grumble, feeling empty.
Mm,
But what if there's like a different kind of hunger, something deeper, maybe less obvious, that's really running the show with our food habits?
exactly. And that's where Dan Hollis comes in.
Yeah.
His work goes way beyond, just diet plans. It's a really human-centered way of looking at food, our bodies, even how we handle failure.
Failure, right. Especially with things like weight loss and now with these medications like semaglutide that are so common.
Precisely. His perspective is quite different.
Okay, so let's really get into this. In a world looking for quick fixes, Hollis seems to be saying, hold on, the real change is deeper.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to pull out the key ideas from his work on things like emotional hunger, failing gracefully, and his whole framework for using semaglutide.
The Dan Hollis protocol.
Right. The goal is to give you, our listeners, a way to think about change with maybe more curiosity
Yeah.
and compassion instead of just white-knuckling it.
Less judgment, more understanding.
Okay, so let's start with hunger itself. Hollis had this idea that really shifted things for me. He said, emotional hunger, it feels like a craving, sure,
Mm-hmm.
but he says it's actually a question, a need asking to be seen. So what are we usually doing wrong there? How does he help us hear that question?
Well, that reframing is huge, isn't it? We feel something, maybe we're tired or lonely or just totally frazzled, and boom, we think I'm hungry.
Right, the default answer is food.
Exactly. Food becomes like temporary scaffolding when we feel shaky inside, a quick patch.
Emotional scaffolding, I like that.
And Hollis doesn't see that as a failure or weakness. He calls it wisdom misdirected. Your body is trying to tell you something important. You're just maybe misunderstanding the signal.
So it's not about silencing the feeling, but understanding it.
Precisely.
And he boils it down to one simple question.
Yeah, the core question he teaches is just asking yourself, what am I really hungry for?
Just pausing with that. Yeah, that changes how you approach those moments.
It really does. It moves you from reaction to reflection.
Okay, so let's bring in semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy. These are everywhere now. Originally for type 2 diabetes, but then this major side effect, weight loss, became the focus for many.
Right. It works by mimicking a hormone, GLP-1, making you feel fuller, reducing cravings. It affects appetite regulation.
And that's where Hollis offers this really critical insight. He says semaglutide doesn't actually fix the emotional hunger piece, does it?
No, not at all. His point is brilliant, I think. He says it just makes the biological noise quiet enough to finally hear it.
Ah, okay. So it creates space.
Exactly. Or another way he put it, semaglutide isn't the solution to emotional eating. It's the silence that lets you find one.
Wow.
He sees the real power of these GLP-1 meds as giving you this window, this opportunity to rebuild identity, behavior, and emotional awareness while the cravings take a step back.
So while the physical urges dial down, you can finally work on the underlying stuff.
Yes, you can start to untangle true physical hunger from what he calls signal confusion. Where your body's signals are all mixed up with stress or habit or emotions.
Signal confusion. Yeah, that resonates.
Instead of fighting cravings, you see them as messengers. What are they really telling you? It demands more than just counting calories, obviously. It needs empathy, awareness, asking that question behind the craving.
It makes so much sense. It's not just about suppressing appetite. It's about using that suppression strategically. Okay, but what about when things go off track? Because they do, right? We stumble. And usually, especially with weight, that comes with a ton of shame, feeling like you failed, you're weak.
Oh, absolutely. The standard narrative is brutal, but Hollis flips that completely. His definition of failure is just, well, listen to this. Failure isn't the end. It's a message, a moment of feedback. And sometimes it's the most honest conversation you'll ever have with yourself.
That's powerful. So failure isn't a verdict, it's data.
Exactly. Treat it like a data point. What can you learn? Not, I'm terrible, but, okay, what happened here? What does this tell me?
And what about relapse? People often feel like they've betrayed themselves.
He has a take on that, too. Relapse isn't some moral failing. He says it's often just the brain asking for an old familiar rhythm, something comfortable, known. And if you just try to bully yourself out of it without understanding why the brain wants that rhythm, you don't just stumble, you can actually fracture your trust in yourself, which is worse.
So fighting it blindly makes it worse.
It can deepen the sense of defeat. And he makes this really sharp observation. Most people aren't feeling semaglutide. They're failing to prepare for what comes after it.
Ooh, okay. So the issue isn't the medication stopping working. It's that the underlying supports weren't built during that quiet time.
Precisely. A breakdown often means the support system needs reinforcing, not that you are fundamentally flawed. He even calls setbacks sacred if you're willing to look at them with curiosity instead of judgment.
Sacred. Wow, that's a total reframe.
And maybe the killer line is, the shame isn't in failing. The shame is in pretending you were supposed to be perfect.
Just letting go of that perfection myth. That alone feels huge.
It allows for grace,
Yeah.
right? Instead of blame, you ask, okay, what tool do I need now?
Yes. Is it a story that helps me grow or one that keeps me stuck?
The goal becomes learning how to fail forward, using the stumble to actually propel you.
That's the idea, learning from every step.
Okay, so this all ties into what you mentioned earlier, the Dan Hollis protocol. It sounds like it brings all these threads together.
Huh.
Not like a rigid diet plan, but how do you describe it?
He calls it a conversation between your biology, your behavior, and the emotional blueprint that's been silently shaping both.
Conversation, I like that.
Yeah, it's about using that semaglutide quiet period as a window to change, not just, a crutch you lean on forever.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a framework, deeply human-centered.
Yeah.
Can you break down those pillars for us? There's 7, right?
Yes, 7 pillars. They're interconnected. The first is start with silence. Hollis says, when the cravings stop, the truth begins.
So it's not just about not feeling hungry. It's about using that quiet to really listen. What feelings come up when food isn't the go-to soother? That's where the real insights are.
So the silence is actually revealing something. Interesting. What's next?
Pillar 2, rewire the rituals. Because, as Hollis puts it, every pound lost is a habit that needs replacing, not just removing.
You can't just leave a vacuum.
Exactly. Food habits are wired deep neurologically. So when the physical hunger is down, the habit loop is still there. You have to consciously build new rituals, a walk, journaling, calling a friend, whatever works for you. Semaglutide helps you see the old patterns clearly so you can rebuild.
Okay, makes sense. Identify and replace.
Which leads perfectly to number 3, anchor identity before the weight drops. This one's critical. Hollis warns, your body changes faster than your identity. That's the trap.
What does he mean by trap?
Well, imagine you lose a lot of weight, your clothes fit differently, but in your head, you still see yourself as the before person. That disconnect, it can actually sabotage your progress. Your brain might pull you back to old habits to match the old identity.
Wow. So the internal shift has to keep pace, or even lead.
Yes, the identity work asking, who am I becoming, is invisible, but maybe the most important part.
That really lands. Okay, so identity work is key. How does pacing fit in? Pillar 4.
Pillar 4 is pace the process. Hollis stresses, fast results don't mean lasting results. Pacing is protection. He's all about metabolic pacing, letting your body and your mind adapt slowly, gradually.
Avoiding that shock to the system.
Right. Rapid change without that internal integration often leads to overwhelm and potentially collapse later on. Slow and steady integration is key.
Got it. And pillar 5 sounds crucial given what you said about failure.
Yes. Number 5, plan the off-ramp from day 1. His quote is stark. The real work begins after the medication.
So you need an exit strategy from the start.
Absolutely. Don't wait until you're tapering off to figure out how you'll manage. He emphasizes planning for life after semaglutide right from the beginning, because relapse often comes from those unaddressed patterns resurfacing, not just a return of hunger.
That makes total sense. If you haven't built the tools in the quiet, you're exposed when the noise comes back. What about support?
That's pillar 6, build the scaffolding. And he's emphatic. Support isn't optional, it's neurobiological scaffolding.
Neurobiological scaffolding.
Meaning, this isn't just nice to have. You need emotional support, maybe a community, structure, even the right language to understand your experience. He makes a neat distinction. AI can give you information, but humans deliver meaning. You need both.
Connection and meaning are vital.
Okay, and the last pillar.
Pillar 7. Rewrite the narrative. This ties everything together. Weight loss is biology. Staying there is narrative.
Ah, the stories we tell ourselves again. Yes. It's about consciously rewriting those deep-seated stories about your worth, about failure, about your relationship with food. Because, as he powerfully states, no amount of medication can sustain a story that says, I don't deserve this.
Wow, that hits hard. If you don't believe you deserve the change, you'll find a way back.
That's the core of it. The internal narrative has to support the external changes.
Okay, those 7 pillars. They paint a really holistic picture. It's so much more than just medication. It really is that shift you mentioned, from biology to identity, from medication to meaning, from shame to structure, from silence to strategy.
That sums it up perfectly. It's a framework for deep, sustainable change.
Yeah, Dan Hollis's work clearly offers this really transformative way to look at weight loss, sure, but honestly, any big personal challenge, right? Anything involving old habits and self-perception.
Mhm.
It's about building something lasting by digging into those underlying questions and, crucially, rewriting the stories that hold us back.
Absolutely. It's a profound work. So maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on. Think about how these ideas, curiosity over judgment, failure as data, anchoring your identity, how might they apply to another big change you're navigating in your life right now? What biological noise, maybe not hunger, but some other internal static, might be stopping you from hearing a deeper question you need to answer in another part of your life?